Well, actually, I'm sorry, it's ACV auctions. ACV auctions. ACUA is the ticker symbol. Another one is Lending Tree, and their ticker symbol is Tree. So a ZI, 1-800 Flowers, FLWS, ACUA, ACV auctions, and Tree, Lending Tree. Now, to talk to you about the crypto thing, basically right now Bitcoin's at 68,000, Ethereum's at 4,800. Um, and what is happening also is that you're seeing a wider rally in crypto. So I'll read some of this and kind of break it down to you in terms of what's going on. CNBC says that Bitcoin's price rose above 68,000, eclipsing the previous record. It was up over 2% in the last 24 hours. Ether, the native currency of Ethereum's blockchain, notched a record high of 4840. The token traded at 1.3% higher in the last 24 hours. And so let's see what the experts are saying. The ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, which is actually, it doesn't, that Bitcoin ETF does not lead you to actually own Bitcoin. The ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF actually allows you to own Bitcoin futures, which is not the same as actually owning Bitcoin. So I didn't buy it because I actually would rather just own the real Bitcoin. But even that went up because I think that what's happening is when you have higher demand for anything related to Bitcoin, that tends to benefit the price of Bitcoin. Also benefits the prices of stocks like Coinbase and stuff like that. In a note sent on Monday, Mikhail Morch, executive director at crypto hedge funds ARK36, said that a $70,000 price for Bitcoin now seems imminent. I agree. I agree 100%. I feel like right now with Bitcoin and Ethereum, you just have this really crazy momentum effect. And one of the things, if we know anything about human beings, we know human beings are crazy. Like human beings, like we just get on the trend. We'll start doing the milk crate challenge because everybody else is doing it. Even though we know that you can easily fall and crack your skull and break your neck, we do it anyway because we just think it's the cool thing to do. I didn't do it, but some people did. We tend to just believe in things, and we think that belief, that collective belief, is enough to actually propel an asset to a certain price. So I think right now with Bitcoin, you're really seeing something that is pretty powerful, and I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to spread to a lot of the other cryptos. So let me see here. Others have made bolder predictions of where Bitcoin is headed. JP Morgan, pay attention now. JP Morgan, they're not stupid. These are smart, very smart white people. I'm sure there are black people that work at JP Morgan, but it's not a black-owned company. They predicted that Bitcoin would reach 146,000 with a shorter-term price target of 73,000 for this year. I think 73,000 is reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think it might actually go past 73,000. I think it's going to go more toward 80. I would not be surprised if we hit 80,000 for Bitcoin by the end of the year. I don't know why. I just feel like there's going to be like some Christmas surprise or something that's going to kind of shoot through the roof. They said next week, Bitcoin rolls out its biggest upgrade in 4 years. The software is known as Taproot. It will mean greater transaction privacy and efficiency. And crucially, it will unlock the potential for smart contracts, a key feature of its blockchain technology. So smart contracts, you can Google them, but basically these are contracts that automatically execute without the need for an intermediary or a third party for verification of anything. You just program it into the system, and the contract executes just because certain benchmarks were hit. And so smart contracts is a big thing. It was sort of a big plug and a big bragging point for Ethereum. And it looks like they're going to have that on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is interesting. They said, meanwhile, Ether has been on an upswing since it implemented Altar, a network upgrade that went live in late October. Altar was largely seen as a non-event to most everyone except validators. That is, people on the Ethereum network who verify transactions. But the upgrade was a pivotal step in implementing Ethereum 2.0, which has been in the works for years. And it will fundamentally overhaul the entire network. Ethereum 2.0 would have the network switch from the energy-intensive proof-of-work mining systems where miners solve difficult math equations to create new coins to proof-of-stake, which just requires users to leverage their existing cache of Ether as a means to verify transactions and mint new tokens. Well, that's a big deal because what that does is that gets rid of one of the, what I think is one of the more ridiculous obstacles that Bitcoin and Ethereum have had, which is the impact on the environment of using up all this energy, solving pretty much worthless math problems. I mean, these hash equations that they solve, it's like having your child, it's like forcing your child to sit around and count the number of cracks in the ceiling and to memorize how many cracks are in the ceiling of 20 different houses, right? There's nothing beneficial from that exercise. It's very difficult to do, but your child does not benefit in any way from that particular exercise. So effectively, these hash equations were just designed to decide who gets credit for that transaction and who doesn't. It was a complete waste of time and a complete waste of energy. And that's one of the big failings of the whole crypto space. But it looks like they're fixing that. Once they fix that, it makes it easier for crypto to become a more valid method of exchange. I think that the growth of the metaverse, the constant talk through Zuckerberg and others about the metaverse, I think will push crypto further along. The same way the pandemic kind of pushed people to get online faster than they would have otherwise. Well, I believe that all this metaverse talk is going to push crypto because a lot of the transactions in the metaverse are going to be crypto transactions. In fact, you can argue that crypto is already kind of in the metaverse. And I think that's why you're going to see some of these cryptos take off as the metaverse explodes. So that's my 2 cents. I'm a big believer in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think it's a great investment. Now, I'm going to answer a few more of your questions you submitted here in advance. And don't forget, if you want to send your questions to me in advance, just log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com and I will answer your question first. Let's see. Charles says, I want to thank you for everything. Your wisdom, knowledge, education, and perspective has taken me up on many levels. All right, good, man. I'm very happy for you. Let's see here. I asked God to take me higher and place me in a new environment. 4:30 a.m. God showed me you in a dream. I took action. I am grateful. Wow, that is heavy. That is heavy. And that's not a corny statement at all. I respect that immensely because I never mention that to anybody. I don't mention it very often, but the All Black National Convention, I kid you not, that came to me in a dream. I believe in listening to your instincts. I believe in listening to your subconscious because your subconscious brain, my wife is an expert in the subconscious. This is why I kind of know a few things just from subconsciously listening to her. And one of the things about the subconscious is that's the smartest part of your brain. The part of your brain that does the most work is not the part that you're aware of. It's the part that you're not aware of. And so when you go to sleep, your subconscious pops up. That's why you have certain dreams and you think about things in a certain way. So I believe deeply in listening to your subconscious. And I swear, I kid you not, I swear on a stack of Bibles. And in 2016, I was in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm going home tomorrow though. But I was in Atlanta. I took a nap. I woke up and I heard literally some voice from the universe say, you need to have a convention and you need to call it the All Black National Convention. So right then, the idea and the name all came to me at once. And I called Lene Javette, a friend of mine, and I said, we got to do a convention. We're going to call it the All Black National Convention, right? And the rest is history. Now we're on number 6, and it's every year it's getting better. And so listen to your soul. Your soul has all the answers. You just got to so that's why meditation and things like that are really important in terms of getting in touch with yourself and getting in touch with your potential. All right. So Courtney says, what are your thoughts on paying back student loans but still trying to invest? I don't think you should pay off your student loans before you start investing because that's student loans typically tend to be low interest debt. And you can run a business with debt on the books. Most businesses have debt. So having debt does not mean you have to sit out on life, right? Also, if you focus all your extra cash on paying off your student loans, then you put yourself in a dangerous situation when it comes to liquidity, because if something happens and goes wrong and you need access to cash, well, you can't call the student loan people back and say, hey, that $5,000 I paid y'all the last 6 months, can I have some of that money back? No, so you always want to keep a little bit of cash for yourself in case something goes wrong. I make a great salary, but I have a huge amount of loans. I don't think my loans will be paid back for at least 10 years, but I want to invest in that time. What's the best approach? I think, Courtney, not only are you allowed to invest while you still have the debt, because the interest rate typically isn't that high on student loans, but in fact, I think that's a great way to kill the debt faster. So if you take the time, like right now, you're in the Black Stock Market program, so you're learning how to invest in the stock market. Also, don't forget in the Black Business School, we have blackmoney103.com, which is entrepreneurship. You can learn how to start a Black-owned business. You can do all kinds of stuff. We have people buying hotels. We have people that we have literally millionaires and billionaires that are teaching in the Black Business School. We have so many affiliate faculty. It's ridiculous. And so there's a lot of ways out here to make money. So in fact, the number one way, if you are a person who is saddled under a ton of student loan debt, listen to me now. The best way to pay off the debt is not to sit there and twiddle away at a low income and wait 30 years or 20 years to pay all that debt off. That your life will be over. You'll be old by the time you're done. The best way to knock out debt is to focus all your energy on learning all the safe ways you can increase your income. Now, you got to be careful because a lot of people have you chasing waterfalls. There's a lot of people out here that give you false hope. A lot of people have you signing up for multi-level marketing and all this other stuff. I'm not saying all that's bad. I'm not saying every MLM is bad, but MLMs, the problem with MLMs is that 90-something% of the people that participate in most MLMs don't make any money. The small percentage at the top make money, but everybody else doesn't. So ultimately, there are a million ways to make more money. So think about it. If you're making, say, let's say $4,000 a month, and you find a way to increase your income by 50%, make $2,000 a month. That's it. That can change everything. Suddenly you're cranking $2,000 a month into your student loans, and the loans are disappearing a lot faster. Suddenly everything that used to be hard becomes easy. I've seen that. I see it all the time. There's a person I work with now named Keisha Ravenel. Keisha's one of our students in the Black Business School, and she did one-on-one consultation with me when she first got her teacher business started. And we talked about ways that she could take her idea and expand that idea into other ways of generating revenue. Now Keisha has clients out the butt. Keisha is making a crap ton of money, and Keisha is now in a whole different tax bracket, right? So ultimately, what I would just say to you is that I would encourage you to finish college. See, a lot of college students need to finish school. And the reason I say you need to finish school is because, sure, you learned a few things in those books that they gave you, but what they did not teach you was how to make money as a Black person, right? So you just go finish school. So go sign up for a club, a group, a class, whatever, and get around people that know how to make money, and then tell them where you are. Tell them what your problem is. Talk to the group about it. And when people pull their collective ideas together, their possibilities expand. And this is, and actually just a shameless plug about the convention. Anybody who is at the All Black National Convention, please say something in the chat if you were actually there. You will find that it is extraordinary when you are around other people who are upward thinking and upwardly mobile psychologically. They can take your basic idea that you've been working on by yourself and make it into something beautiful where you come home with a ton of possibilities you never had before. There was a young guy who came up there, and he was a hip hop artist, but he also would do work with artists. So he decided to actually start painting, and he started painting while he was at the convention, because he's a pretty good painter, and people were buying his paintings for $1,000 a piece. And he's like, I didn't even know this whole revenue stream was available to me. Now that's what I'm going to focus on, because apparently I was putting my energy into the stuff that wasn't making me money. Now I'm going to put my money my energy into the things that are going to make me money. So a lot of you are probably sitting on a gold mine. You're probably sitting on all these different ways to make money that you don't even know about, because the only person you're asking about it is yourself. Like, you're only consulting with yourself, and you only know what you know. But if you talk to people who are on that next level, the people that can help you level up, in many cases, they will see potential in something that you're doing that you can't see right now. So level up, finish school, talk to people that can help you see the gold mine that you're probably sitting on right now. All right, so let me keep going. Let me read another one of your questions. Let's see. Kalita says, Dr. Watkins, you asked me to remind you to ask you, what are Satoshi coins? Are they worth it and safe to buy? Where can you purchase them? Satoshi coins. Let me see here. I'm going to Google that one. Satoshi coins. So Satoshi coins, or SATs, are a fraction of a Bitcoin. Simply put, a Satoshi is, I remember the Satoshis. That's right. A Satoshi is more or less to a Bitcoin what a penny is to a dollar. The smallest unit of a Bitcoin, Satoshis, are named after Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's anonymous creator. So basically, a Satoshi pretty much means you're buying a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of a Bitcoin. You can do that easy. You can do that on Coinbase. So just take how much money you have, how much money you want to invest. So if you want to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin, just get on the app and say, I want to buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. Now, is that more or less than a Satoshi? I have no idea, but I do know that that can work as well, right? So that's pretty much where this question is headed. That's what a Satoshi represents, tiny, tiny Bitcoins. All right, Pacola Brown says, do you think it's wise to borrow money from your life insurance policy? It can be wise if you really need the money, but it's obviously something that should be considered as a last resort. I would check with the insurance company to figure out what the tax implications are for you to either borrow against it, or if you borrow against it, I don't think you have to pay any taxes or anything. I think if you withdraw money from a cash value life insurance policy, there are situations where you do have to pay taxes on that, or even a penalty. So just make sure that you check with the insurance company on what the conditions are under which you can make the withdrawal. People do it all the time. And that's why you have cash value life insurance, is so you can actually have a stack of cash available to you. You can become your own bank to some extent. And that's really the number one objective for Black people, in my view, is, you have a lack of access to capital. You run into financial problems and you can't always get the money that you need. So the goal for the next generation is to make sure our children are not in that same situation. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I mean, if you just go ahead and invest for your kids now, they won't have that problem. I don't care how poor you are. If you invest, $30 a week for your child, and you do it consistently, your child will be extremely wealthy when they get older. Renee Jackson, let's see. You sent me an article from Vice.com. Crypto eats food delivery scam, steals $50,000 in 10 minutes. What do you think about this article and the red flags for business opportunities involving crypto? Oh, I didn't get a chance to look this up, Renee, but I'm going to look at it right now. So apparently Renee has sent me an article about a crypto scam. So let me pop this in. All right, I'm going to paste and go. Okay, what do we have here? Elaborate crypto eats food delivery scam steals $500,000 in minutes. The fake company got influencers to promote it, created t-shirts and swag, seemingly held a party, launched, then disappeared entirely. Wow. For the last week, a handful of UK-based celebrities have been talking about a new startup called Crypto Eats that will compete against Uber Eats by allowing customers to pay for food delivery in crypto. The creators mocked up a logo, got TikTok influencers to promote it, and one to wear its swag on a video, apparently threw a party, and announced the Eats token through a press release that went out over a service often used by legitimate companies. Wow, so this is straight criminality. Okay. Almost immediately after its launch, Crypto Eats vanished from the internet, along with a few $100,000 in one of the more elaborate shitcoin rug pulls in recent memory. In the press release, which can still be found on Yahoo Finance, Crypto Eats claimed it had raised $8 million in Series A funding. Quote, how could such a low-key idea to accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment for your food attract such interest from the cryptocurrency community, it asked. Crypto Eats' first real step in allowing people to use crypto as a form of payment for items in the real world. Let's see here. The press release, which was released to a service called Global Newswire that is used by legitimate tech companies, including Litecoin and Walmart. But actually, there was a high-profile cryptocurrency scam involving Litecoin and Walmart that went up on the service. Went on to claim that its founder, Wade Phillips, had partnered with Nando's, McDonald's, and hired an army of delivery drivers that would allow the company to compete head-on with the likes of Uber Eats and Deliveroo. Okay. All right. So these guys are going to go to jail. Somebody's going to find out who they are, and it's interesting because what it really kind of speaks to, I guess, is that that there are people who understand when the vetting process isn't as thorough as it should be, and this actually speaks to, in my view, the lack of regulatory clarity when it comes to crypto. Because if you recall, during the last crypto boom in 2017, you had a lot of influencers, rappers and athletes. I think Floyd Mayweather and T.I. got caught up in it and stuff like that, where they were basically just promoting anything, right? Like somebody would call them up and say, we'll give you $50,000 to talk about this on Instagram. They would take the money and they would promote the product. And the question then becomes, who does the due diligence to make sure that what you're promoting is actually valid and legitimate? How do you protect the public? And that's the job of the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commissioner Gary Gensler. So what is going to probably occur is down the pipe, you're going to see additional regulation of crypto. I don't think it's going to stop the growth and the explosion of this really powerful new industry, but it is something worth paying attention to because it could change the landscape relatively quickly. And when these regulatory changes are announced, it tends to affect the price. Like China doesn't play. China just will come in and shut down a whole industry and stuff like that. They're kind of reckless with it. The United States is slow. They lack initiative. They lack clarity. They lack courage in terms of just being real clear on what they're going to do. Like, for example, XRP has been locked up for a long time. Nobody knows exactly why. I own a bunch of XRP, and I'm waiting for them to release it so that I can actually see the benefits of that. And so ultimately, this is not going to go away. And I would just say that for yourself, in terms of protecting yourself, you got to do your due diligence. You got to maybe consider that as a risk factor. when you talk about investing, a risk factor is anything that can cause the value of your asset to go down, right? So if you, if you are invested in anything, that you have to just understand that there's a chance you could be getting scammed. That's why, in fact, one of the reasons that American stock markets have such a high valuation is because they have such good regulation. Because you know that if you go buy a share of stock on the New York Stock Exchange, there is no company that's going to just take your money and run. That's not going to happen on the NYSE because the NYSE has financial police all over the place that will protect your money. Now, if you go and you buy stock in China's notorious. They'll have a whole company with $1 billion valuation with a bunch of empty warehouses. Like they take that scamming thing to a whole nother level. So so that is a risk factor. I invested in a Chinese company that I told you guys about called Tekadu. This company's making money hand over fist. It was like my best investment. I was so happy with it. And then one day the Chinese government just comes in and decides they're threatening to shut down the whole industry. And the stock went from $31 to like $3 in a day or something. It was crazy. And I had some put options in place, so I had my investment kind of protected, but it hurt. It made me mad. I was cussing that day, but that happens, right? So what I learned from that, or I was reminded of that, is that the dynamics are changing. The thing about risk is always there. Risk is like the weather, right? The weather is always around you, right? But the weather is always changing, right? So you always have to kind of check the weather. Like, what does the weather look like now? What is the weather forecast? Before I go outside to go run, first thing I do is I get on my phone and I say, what's the temperature outside, right? Because I want to make sure I know what the weather is now. Or if I'm traveling somewhere, I'll say, what's the weather forecast for the next 5 days? So because risk is always changing. So China wasn't always this risky. 5 years ago, the Chinese government didn't do stuff like that. But now they do stuff like that all the time, which changes the valuation of Chinese assets. A lot of Chinese stocks can't sell in the United States because they're investors like me who stay away from Chinese stocks. Or if you buy a Chinese stock, the price has to really, really be low for you to say, okay, I'm willing to take on that risk. Like I think Alibaba is a great company. They make money like crazy. But the fact that they have this regulatory overhang where at any moment the government can just pop in and disrupt everything that they're doing, that has murdered the stock price. So some people say, okay, now that the stock price has dropped, I'm willing to take a chance, but I'm not willing to pay fair price for Alibaba because Alibaba has this regulatory overhang, which creates another risk factor. Okay. All right. So let me, I see your questions here in class. So I'm going to go ahead and answer a few of those and then we'll head on out. And by the way, if you want to log in and get the recordings of our class sessions or anything like that, you can always go to, you can always log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com, and you can see the recordings. You can see the stocks that I picked for this week. You can go in through the curriculum. There's a bunch of stuff in there, so feel free to log in. All right, so let's see. Maurice says, Dr. Watkins, on one of your podcasts, you refer to being a billionaire, and people probably going to hate on you even more. My question is, I'm striving to become a millionaire, and I feel like that is a comfortable position. Is there any point that a person feels like they have enough money? Well, first of all, I'm not a billionaire. I'm not. I would say I will confess that I'm a millionaire. Although I think it's corny. Like when you have people that like show off their money and they're like, oh, listen to me because look at the car I'm driving, look at the house I'm living in, look at the fancy clothes I have. That's not my vibe. Honestly, I'm not interested in those sorts of things. My wife is not. She does not think that way. She doesn't even shop for herself. Like other people have to go buy her clothes because she's not a flashy person, and neither am I. And that's probably what attracted us to each other. Where we see money as a tool to improve the lives of the people around you. We also see it as a method of providing security for yourself and your family. That's what money is. Money is a tool that allows you to do those things. The material stuff, you get tired of that real fast anyway. You once you've driven in a nice car and stayed in a fancy hotel or whatever, it's not a big deal anymore. And that's very important for you to know, because that's why you see a lot of millionaires who are really depressed. Like you would say, well, why would you, if you're a billionaire, why would you kill yourself? Well, because they can't find any purpose in life outside of material stuff, right? So you got to find my encouragement to you is always think about what money is for. Money can do destructive things, or it can do something wonderful and good. And in fact, what I find is that the more you focus on the things that are beyond the money, the things that money can do, on a maybe a spiritual level, a psychological level, or a security level, you're more you're going to attract money more because you're going to start doing things that relate to your passion. Like Elon Musk is a guy who has shown that money isn't really a big deal to him. Now he has all the money, right? But Elon Musk cares about things like saving the environment and going to Mars, right? He has a much higher purpose than just the money. The money is a tool to help him do those things. All right. So let's see here. So you asked, is there a point where a person feels like they have enough money? I think that's person by person. I think that if you never reach that point, like if you can never like find a point where you feel like you have enough, I feel like that's going to put you kind of in this impossible spiral where you always need more. You're like a fat person who keeps eating, who never has enough food. You're never full. And so this is where I deviate from capitalism. Capitalism is like that. Hardcore capitalism says that you never have enough. If you run a company and you made $1 billion last year, you got to make $1.1 billion next year, or you failed. You must grow. Capitalism is built on growth, right? That's it. Growth is the number one factor in stock prices. That's why Netflix can say, "Hey, we got 10 million new subscribers this quarter," and the stock price can go down. And you're like, how would the stock price go down if they got 10 million new subscribers? Well, because they expected them to grow by 20 million. You only grew by 10. Well, then you have failed, right? So I don't think that's a healthy mindset. I think that that's also the mindset that led to terrible things like colonialism and slavery, where white people were so focused on growing that they literally went and devoured the whole world, and they'll go declare war on some poor little third world country just so they can get oil and more resources. And it's terrible. It's not healthy in my view. It's not just a white or black thing. It's just good and evil, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I encourage you to know the meaning of the word enough. I also encourage you, if you are fortunate enough to become a person of means, create a double, triple bottom line. We know money matters to you, right? Money matters to you a lot, and I think that that's fine. But money can't be the only thing that matters to you, right? So what else matters to you besides the money? What else are you doing besides making money? And the reason you have to have that backup, that diversification in your outlook is because sometimes the money ain't gonna be there. When I run my business, there were times where we didn't make any money. There were times where I paid my whole team years ago. It hasn't happened for a while, thank God. But there was a time where I paid my whole team and I had nothing. I would get nothing, right? And but I kept going because there were so many other things, so many other ROIs, so many other returns on investment I was getting that had nothing to do with money, right? So don't just focus on the money. Like, the money's nice, get the money, but then also think about all the things that matter to you more than money, because that's how you can be truly rich as a black person. Because if all you can see is the money, then you're ultimately going to become, in my view, you're going to become a bit of a white supremacist. And the reason I say that is because white people are always, in our generation, our lifetimes, going to have more money than black people. White people will always have more money than us, right? So if I think that all my value is wrapped up in how much money I have and how much money I make, then I can never be equal to white people, because that white man is going to have $1 million for every 1,000 that I have, and it's going to make me feel inferior. But remember, blackness, you're so special. You have so many other amazing, valuable attributes to your community, to your culture, to your families that other people don't have, that are absolutely priceless. Think about that. Like Africa, for example. One of the reasons that Africa is the richest continent on earth is because they have people. They have more young people on the continent of Africa than any other continent on the planet, more than China, more than Europe, anywhere else. Europe's getting old, but Africa's young and vibrant, and they've got energy and intelligence and innovation and creativity, and this whole generation of young people that can do amazing things. That's a multi-trillion-dollar asset that Africa has that doesn't necessarily automatically translate into money. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's see here. Emmanuel says, how much do you know about tag protocol? I know nothing about tag protocol. So if you want to ask me about it, you want me to research it, put it in the login at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Leave a question for me for next week, and I will answer. I will tell you everything I know about tag protocol next week at 11 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Let's see. Michael Johnson, Dr. B, are utilities and consumer staples good investments during these inflationary times? I think consumer staples are, because you are seeing the rising prices in various goods and things like that, and you have pent up demand, for almost everything that I would imagine will be beneficial for consumer staples. Utilities, maybe, perhaps, maybe that might be connected to things like the price of oil, which tends to go up when we have inflationary times. So that could be a possibility, but Utilities feels like a stretch for me. Let's see, Kevin Brooks. While you are relatively bullish on cryptocurrency, how do you imagine your conversation, discussion, debate will go with Warren Buffett, presumably averse to it about its pros and cons? Warren Buffett is a value investor, and he's very good at value investing. That means he's very good at buying companies that are relatively undervalued and holding those companies until they become worth more money. He's extremely good at that. One criticism you can make of a Warren Buffett is that he's missed out on a lot of stuff. He missed out pretty much on the whole internet revolution. A lot of those companies, he's missing out on anything that, you know, a 90-year-old isn't necessarily going to understand. I mean, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are just two of the most gangster old white people I've ever seen. I could not believe that this one guy, these guys, one's 95, the other one's 98, sitting there doing a 4-hour press conference. I was so impressed. I was so impressed. You know, it reminds me when I had a meeting with Louis Farrakhan with about 8 other economists, and we sat in a room for 8 hours and we talked about the economic future for the Black community. And the minister, at the age of 80 something, sat there the whole time for the whole 8 hours, and he didn't need a nap, he didn't need a break or anything. He didn't say, I got to step away and take my medication. None of that. He was there the whole time. I was the one I was tired. I needed a nap. And so so shout out to these badass old men that just know how to rock it out. I have tremendous respect for them. But I will say that Warren Buffett is a guy who has missed out a lot. And I think Warren Buffett is missing out on crypto. He doesn't invest in it because he doesn't understand it. But I personally think that if you sit and you think about it, there's a lot to understand. Crypto's power, in my view, comes from people. It comes from the people that are committed to crypto, the networking effects, right? So investing in crypto, it's like investing in, I don't know, if you invest in like Gucci or Coach, you know, you may never understand why somebody will pay $450 for a Coach bag that when it costs them, you know, $20 to make one in China. But if you know, you see it and you see the trends and you know that people are going to pay for it, then you might invest in Coach because of that. So I think Warren Buffett, I wouldn't debate him about it. I would just hear what he had to say. I think Warren Buffett's very intelligent. He also learned a lot of his investing sense from a book called Graham and Dodd, or by Graham and Dodd, called Value Investing. Benjamin Graham, and I forgot Dodd's first name. But yeah, so he's good at what he does, but he's not good at everything. You know, so in a way you can say that he's almost like if you go and talk to a jazz artist about hip hop. Right? You talk to the best jazz artists in the world and you say, well, what do you think about hip hop? Well, they might be like, hip hop is crap. That's not real music, right? Well, that's because they know jazz and they love jazz and they think jazz is the only kind of music. So Warren Buffett is a jazz singer. He's not a rapper, right? Financially speaking. Shelley Faulkner, what do you think about investing in NFT art? God, I am so uninterested in investing in any NFT art because that stuff is overpriced. I think that it's being used for money laundering because I still have yet to fully understand why people would pay $250,000 for an ugly little piece of art. I know I got friends in NFTs. JRT is actually a rapper he's a rapper / artist. He's Mr. Everything. He's a very eclectic kind of guy. He's a young guy. He's Art from the Heart. He runs Art from the Heart in Philadelphia. He's going to be, I think he's going to be like a Kanye West kind of person because he's very super creative. He actually started the first NFT art gallery in Philadelphia, and I spoke at the art gallery, and I get it. I understand it from a technical standpoint, but I do not understand it completely. I have not internalized an understanding of why somebody would go pay all that money for that ugly art. It doesn't make sense to me. And until it makes some sense to me, I'm not going to buy any NFTs. Maybe I'll create an NFT. Actually, Carla Ballard, this is, you know, in case you're thinking about coming to the next convention, let me tell you one of the things that did happen at the convention that was super cool. Carla Ballard, who is a crypto expert, who's worked with a lot of billionaires in crypto, she actually helped the people in the audience mint their own NFT right there at the convention. I did not know you could do that. So, you know, maybe selling, you know, when I see something that appears to be overpriced, I'm always interested in the market, but I'm not interested in the market as a buyer. I'm interested in the market as a seller. So yeah, you will see some Boyce NFTs. Maybe I'll go and take some of my videos and turn them into NFTs. Take my funny looking picture, you know, make it into an NFT. A picture of me and my wife, and you know, and NFT that. Maybe one day they'll be worth some money. But I don't understand why this ugly art is worth so much money. It makes no sense to me. Marie says, Dr. Boyce, I'm 53 and giving myself a 20-year retirement goal due to a recent divorce. Well, I'm very sorry to hear about the divorce, Marie. I wish you the very best. What are your thoughts on a no bond portfolio with total stock market, real estate, and small cap growth fund? I think that's okay. I don't think it's a crime to not have bonds in your portfolio. I'm struggling with what is a good mix. I do know that I'm not too afraid to risk, and I want to have a goal of $1 million at 20 years. Is it even possible? Yeah, it's possible. Marie, if you sit with your financial advisor, they can give you these growth trajectories based on the risk level of your investments. And if you're doing, standard contributions to something that's linked to the S&P 500, you're going to have some ups and downs. But 20 years is a long enough time horizon that you can take on some risk, and it's going to be okay. Like, a lot of people think that when you get older, like you're over 50, over 55, over 60, you shouldn't take on any risk. I don't agree with that. The reason they tell you that is because of time, because they basically they feel like because you're older, you can't wait out the storm. It might start raining and you might have to retire while it's still raining. But what the thing is that the reason I don't think that that's valid is because the average bear market that occurs lasts about 14 months. So if you're a senior citizen, even, and you expect to live more than 14 months, then you could probably wait out most economic storms. Maybe there are some, like I think the Great Depression was a little longer, but for the most part, if you have a 5-year horizon or longer, I think you could take on some risk. Not too much though, not crazy risk, but standard levels of risk. I think that's okay, and I think it is possible. I would encourage you to, be very consistent with how much of your income you invest, because to be quite frank, 53. I hope you're not starting from zero. If you're starting from zero, that's tough, right? Retirement, and everybody in here listening, please, retirement has to start when you're in your 20s. Don't, I'm not saying Marie's doing this. I'm not saying that at all, Marie. I don't know the exact of your situation, but I will say, I see that a lot, where I'll have someone say, I'm 50 years old and I got, 15 years to do 30 years of work. That's hard to do. It reminds me of when I was a teacher, and I'm not making fun of it. We all do it. We all, sometimes procrastinate a little bit. But I remember when I'd have students that would have a test in 2 days, and I'd say, but, we were studying for the last month. Like, I don't know if I can help you do a month's worth of work in 2 days. So if you're younger, than say 50, younger than 40, younger than 30, started preparing for retirement now. And it doesn't mean that you're just saving money for when you get old. Retirement is financial security. You can borrow against that. You can borrow against, so that gives you financial security. So a person who has a really strong 401k or a really strong, amount of money in their IRA, that person always has an asset they can lean on in case they run into hard times. They can borrow against it or even withdraw from it if you want to pay the penalty, right? So don't think that retirement is just for old people. It's really for young people too. All right, Ada Muhammad, assalamu alaikum, brother Boyce, alaikum assalam. B1, I'm sorry if I missed it, but where would you suggest we purchase our cryptocurrency from? I use Coinbase and Bittrex. Those are not the top 3 or 4 out there. I want to say things like Kraken are ranked higher, and I believe Kraken was ranked higher. And there's a couple. Is it crypto.com? Is that right? Yeah, I think there's a crypto.com. There's places you can buy crypto that might be seen better. But I like Coinbase, I like Bittrex, and I buy my crypto from 2 different places. I also sometimes I buy crypto on Robinhood, even though you technically don't own your keys. So a lot of my crypto enthusiast friends would probably get on me and say, well, if you, Cash App, thank you, Tasha. You can buy it on Cash App too. I like convenience, right? And sometimes I'm willing to take a risk in order to have more convenience. Doesn't mean I'm right though. So if something ever happens, Coinbase gets super hacked and I lose everything, then you can say I told you so. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with taking that risk. It's just like, people get on me for not getting the jab, right? Because I didn't want to get it, and I don't feel like I have to tell you if I got it. But I know that there's a risk. I know that I could get sick. Bad things can happen, right? It's just the choice I'm making, right? I'm okay with that, right? I could be on my deathbed and have the same conversation. I took a chance, didn't work out. Guess I'm gonna check out early. It's okay, right? Make the choice that's best for you. All right, so let's see here. You mentioned ACUA and TREE as stocks. Can you share your reasoning for those? Basically, what I've been looking for are stocks that appear to be undervalued based on the analyses that I've done and the analysis that the analysts do. So I check with a lot of different sources that I subscribe to in order to determine where the good values are in the market. So that's pretty much it. I don't buy stock because I'm particularly attracted to a certain industry all the time. Like Disney. Disney's a great company, but I don't think Disney's been a great stock this year. They know how to make money, but the question is not whether they know how to make money. The question is, is the stock price lower than what it should be? And are they able to make more money than people expect them to make? So it's like if LeBron James is going into a basketball game and he's expected to score 25 points and he scores 24, well, that's considered a failure. That's not as good as a player who's expected to score 10 points who scores 18, right? So that's kind of how stocks are looked at as well. Daryl says, I was just trying to buy Polkadot, but Coinbase and Stash do not have it. Where do you have your Polkadot? Why did I think Polkadot was on Coinbase? Check Coinbase again. I could have swore I saw Polkadot, or maybe not. Maybe Polkadot wasn't. Engine Coin is on there. Engine Coin is one. I think you could buy Polkadot maybe on Bittrex. Bittrex might be a place you could buy it. Ramondo, what are the best apps to buy crypto? Okay, we already talked about that. All right, so yeah, we already talked about crypto apps, so I'll jump through. I got 2 more questions, and then we'll be done. And again, if you ever miss class, just log in. I literally have recordings for several years worth of Q&As just like this right there. If you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, it's right there. And also you can get access to not just the stock picks for this week, but I heard you, if you're looking for more stuff to buy, the stocks I picked 3 months ago are still good purchases. They're still good. Everything I buy is built to be a good long-term investment, right? So I'm not buying stuff that I think is only going to go up for a week. These are solid companies that look like they have a solid long-term future. Okay, so you literally have dozens of stocks that I handpicked that I'm personally adding to my portfolio that you could take a look at. And then also in the blackstockmarketprogram.com, there's also a basic curriculum. So if you're not familiar with the basic terminology of stock market investing or any of this confuses you, just go through the basic videos that are there. You'll learn so much. You'll learn a ton of stuff. There's a ton of interesting curriculum in there, so feel free to log in. And then, of course, every Tuesday we do the Q&A session. So that's important. If you want to ask me a question, if you go to the top, hit that link, put your question in there. I will research it myself, and I will answer your question specifically in the next class. Let's see. Is that Yiv Greaves, YV? Or is that Yvette Greaves, maybe? Or anyway, Greaves. All right, Mr. or Miss Greaves. Do you think it's wise to do a trading course? You keep seeing one pop up on YouTube called Lifestyle Trader. It's 3,000 pounds with $1,000 in play money plus $69 a month. I would say if the reviews are good, maybe look into it. I don't think you have to spend that much to get a class. I mean, we have a lot of stuff in the Black Business School that doesn't charge you nearly that much. But at the same time, $3,000 is cheap compared to what you paid in college. A lot of you paid $100,000 to go to college. I'm not a big believer that it's easy to make a lot of money as a trader. If I'm looking for a financial, here you go. Here's the best thing I can leave you with today. Pay attention. Are you listening? I'm gonna give you something that just came to me. It's a message from God that I'm going to share with you right now. A lot of you may be in a position where you're kind of looking for the next level. All of us are. Everybody wants that next level. And everybody's looking for that financial come up, right? And then some of us are in different stages of that process. If I'm a young person, like 30 or something, and I don't have the money I want to make, and I want to have a come up that's going to change my life, it's like literally, the things that are expensive, I want them to become cheap. The things that were hard, I want them to become easy to do. I want to see my income maybe double, triple, or just be able to do some things that I can't afford to do right now. And I'm thinking, like, what's my next step, right? And what next step can I make that's going to be cost efficient so that I don't end up having my heart broken because I spent $3,000, $4,000 on somebody's class and then they don't deliver and it becomes yet another week on the treadmill where I feel like a hamster on a cage where I've been running my butt off, but I'm not going anywhere. I think that a good way to start would be to start with the things that don't cost any money at all, right? It does not cost a lot of money in some cases to find a way to just join a group of people that you can bounce ideas off of, like a financial support group kind of thing. And I just to give you one example, so for example, crypto is your thing. We have the Black Crypto Club, and we call it a club because it's literally like a support group where people share ideas and they give each other tips and information and tell each other what's going on in the blockchain. So if you go to the blackcryptoclub.com, let me make sure the URL works. Yeah, the blackcryptoclub.com. I think there's actually a free month trial, a 14-day free trial, right? So you can try it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, that's okay too. And you're talking about a price point that's not prohibitive. I think the program is $89 a month, right? So it's not a big commitment for you to try something where you can get in a space where people can give you ideas. Your gold is buried right in front of you, right? And it doesn't cost you anything, right? So I think if I'm looking for a financial come up, I start with mentality and being around people that can look at what I have right in front of me and tell me how to enhance what I have, right? It's like if I'm trying to be more attractive, I could go spend thousands of dollars and get a fake nose and a fake butt, and if I'm a woman, I can get some boobs or whatever, right? Like whatever. But maybe there's something there. Like maybe if I get the right makeup artist, let's say I'm using a woman analogy, right? I get the right makeup artist who can bring out the color of my eyes, or somebody who can teach me how to dress a little better, or somebody could teach me how to have a little more of a confident swag. I can take what I have and get a lot out of what I have, as opposed to, going out into the world and paying money for stuff, right? So if I'm looking for a financial come up, I get into a space where my mindset is going to shift, where I can find all the low hanging fruit that's all around me that I can't see because my vision is limited. Understand this. This is very important. I tell you guys all the time about how economics is a team sport. If you are the only person that you're consulting with, on your ideas and how to move forward, you're probably missing 98% of all your potential. You can't see it all. You have blind spots, and you can't see your blind spots because they're your blind spots. Getting around other people can help you do that, and I've seen even smart people do that. I know lawyers who don't even understand the enormous power that comes with being a lawyer, like the amount of skill that you have and the high value skill that you have, because they're always around lawyers. So it's not a big deal to be a lawyer because everybody's a lawyer. They think everybody has a law degree. Right. But then it takes somebody who doesn't have a law degree to say, man, do you understand, man, if I was a lawyer, I would do this and this, and you can make money doing this and this and this, and you understand this. And right. And it helps you kind of dig in and find the gold that's already buried in your backyard. So I would get into maybe like a group or something, and then maybe consider taking a class. I don't think it has to be one of these $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 programs. The people that run the programs, they're good at selling the program. And I'm not saying that they're bad investments. Some of them are good investments. But if I make that kind of investment, I need to be real clear that you're going to really help me get the results that I'm looking for. Because if you don't, then I'm going to be upset. Also, I would prefer, if I'm going to pay thousands of dollars, I'd rather pay somebody just to do it for me. Right? Whatever it is. If you're going to set me up a website where I can sell my product, or set me up a Shopify store, how about I pay you, you set it up, and you make sure that it's ready, so that all I got to do is show my product to a customer and they're going to buy it. Right. So that's my 2 cents. I think stocks are a good way to make slow money over a long period of time. Real estate's the same way. Real estate is a little more real than stocks. It's a little more sturdy, a little more stable, a little more reliable. It's a diversification source. Your real gold mine, the area that I've seen change people's lives, is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs know how to create a side hustle. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and make $1 million. I've seen people go from, $5,000 a month in income to $200,000 a month, or make their first $1 million in a year and all that. Those stories are out there. But really, I've also seen even more stories of people who went from $5,000 a month in income to $10,000 a month in income. And it didn't take that much more work. It just took them to have a little more financial consciousness. Let me give you a concrete example of a student in the Black Business School. There's a student, her name's Susan, and she happens to be a friend of Alicia's. That's why I happen to know her. And Susan took our entrepreneurship class, Black Money 103. That's our entrepreneurship program. And after she got done, Susan, basically we tapped into her thinking to get her to realize, like, if you have a skill, you can sometimes maybe can sell that. So she realized that she makes this sea moss that everybody loves. Everybody wants sea moss. She knows how to make it. So she started making sea moss, and she enjoys making it, right? So she started making it, and she got on her Facebook page and just started saying, hey, I've got sea moss for sale. Would anybody like to buy sea moss? So let's say she's selling her sea moss jars for $20 a piece, and she sells let's say 10. It's not hard to sell 10. Well, that's an extra $200 a month. That's $200 a week, which is $800 a month. $800 a month, that's enough to pay your car note and your utilities, right? So suddenly she's noticing this income jump right? Which is a ton better than like a raise her boss could have gave her. Her boss might give her a 2% raise or whatever. So then she says, okay, well, let me scale this up. So she starts making even more CMOS and selling even more. So next thing you know, she's making $1,000 a week. She's making $2,000 a week. And then suddenly she's making the same amount of money as a surgeon, right? Literally doing something that she was already doing, but she didn't know enough to really double down and actually see that as a business opportunity. So the real come ups I have seen in terms of people that can substantially increase their income, substantially increase their freedom in terms of free time and their quality of life tend to come from creating that little side hustle that adds that extra $1,000 a week or $500 a week to your income that suddenly allows you to afford the things you couldn't afford before. So don't go chasing the big money right away. Just go for the little money, and the little money turns into the bigger money. That's how you eventually get to the point where you're in a different tax bracket. Okay, so I hope that helps you. I hope that layout makes sense. Okay, so last question. Linda says, I'm unable to sign into Robinhood right now. I'm going to check into that. I did not know Robinhood was having problems, so I'm going to look into that myself. So anyway, guys, it was great talking to you, and I will see you next week for class. So if you want a recording of this or a recording of any of the other classes, just log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Also, if you, let's see, somebody said, when are you going to start? When am I going to start building what? Oh, did you ask? When are you going to start building the Boyce Watkins First Black Hospital Medical Centers? Oh, I'm not building a hospital. I am not going to do that. That's somebody else's job. All right. So anyway, so next week, guys, I'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Please have a good day. And I love you. And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.